It's called Smart AI Clinic. And basically, it's a team that I've assembled from all aspects, all walks of life, people that have had decades of experience in the youth population, others in incarceration and re-entry into the world, which, as you know, I mean, people go in, they're arrested, they're under the influence, they dry up, they get out, not nearly enough time to get out, no real program to get out, and it's kind of like a revolving door. They offend again, they're high again, they go back in. Not really a great way to live. They all got together almost at the exact same time. It's like all the stars aligned, and basically like, hey, I'm doing this, I've been doing it for decades, I understand the way the systems work, but there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And they were all saying that, there's got to be a better way. Along I come with the way. I'm like, yeah, I have this technology. It's great to have this technology. It's great to power up clinics. It's great to do these trials and everything, but implement it into the world. I mean, there's so many people that we can help.
This is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by Pain, Parents and Addicts in Need. My goodness, traveling all the way across the country, Dino, just to see us.
I'm telling you, what a guy.
I missed you guys.
Dino Miliotis, I missed you too.
I missed you guys. What's it been, a year?
Close.
Yeah.
Close too.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
No, because we were just kicking off Granville, so it's been like 7 months.
Oh,
7
okay.
months.
7-8 months.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Long
So
time, man.
much happening in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not even sure where to jump in with our conversation. We should have just been recording the whole day so far.
Pretty much.
Yeah, but you would have had to edit so much out.
I know, like you sitting too far from your microphone. Get up under that table, would you, Mr. Andersen?
Every time.
Mr. Andersen.
Yes.
Mr. Andersen. You've just had so much advance since the last time we had a conversation. Just with the smart technology we talked about with OpiAID, but it's expanding beyond that now.
Yeah. Well, OpiAID was the technology, right, that I got involved with, and like I said, almost a year ago. I'm going around the country, coast to coast, and I'm talking about, hey, there's this great technology. It's AI-driven, and it'll personalize care. And we're talking about everybody who's suffering from opioids and substance use. And this has kind of like come full circle. It's like the next step. This is the commercialized part of the technology, and it's called Smart AI Clinic, and it's opening in Vegas
Soon.
in May 1st, man. Very excited.
Nice.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a little explanation on the Vegas clinic and what's going to take place there?
Sure. So the Vegas clinic, obviously, it opens up May 1st, and it is a brick and mortar building. We have 700 people already registered to undergo care. And basically, it's a team that I've assembled from all aspects, all walks of life, from the recovery. There's people that have had decades of experience in the youth population, others in incarceration and re-entry into the world, which, as you know, I mean, people go in, they're arrested, they're under the influence, they dry up, they get out, not nearly enough time to get out, no real program to get out, and it's kind of like a revolving door. They offend again, they're high again, they go back in. Not really a great way to live. There's other people that were involved in the billing side of the recovery spectrum. And they all got together almost at the exact same time. It's like all the stars aligned, and basically like, hey, I'm doing this, I've been doing it for decades, I understand the way the systems work, but there's got to be a better way.
Right.
And they were all saying that, there's got to be a better way. Along I come with the way. I'm like, yeah, I have this technology. I mean, it's great to have this technology. It's great to power up clinics. It's great to do these trials and everything. But, I mean, the commercialized care, I want to implement it into the world. I mean, there's so many people that we can help. So it was kind of like the stars aligned. We all got together and created Smart AI Clinics, which is powered with the OpiAID technology.
Yeah. So again, I want you to explain a little bit of the opioid technology here. But I'm just kind of curious, because I know we talked earlier on the fact that, we want to get people in for detox. We want to get people hopefully to stay for residential.
Sure.
Right? So then explain to our listeners, that process, and then the opioid technology, the watch that they're wearing, right? I mean, so people really get a good understanding of what that is as well.
Sure. Well, so let me first explain the technology and why it works. So it's basically being able to wear a wearable. So this is a Samsung Galaxy Watch. It's been designed to be able to have the OpiAID technology in it. Okay. So every 5 minutes it takes your levels, your biometrics. Okay, and it'll send it to the database. The database obviously powered with AI. It's the largest base for substance use and behavioral health in the world, by the way. So it'll take all your personal information, it adds in AI, and then it sends it back to the clinician. When it sends it back to the clinician, it's sending back insights on myself, as an example. So it's able to allow the clinician to find the best treatment for you and really do personalized care, which is really not done when you recover. I mean, I went to treatment. I did a 30-day. I did the detox and, the 30 days. And I got to tell you, I mean, as great as it was, and obviously I'm, one and done, thank God. I mean, I was there and I really wanted to learn and I wanted to get out of there and start living again. The thing that I noticed is that it's almost like one size fits all, the way the approach is, almost like, you hear take 2 pills, call me in the morning.
Right.
But then again, we're all different body mass. We all suffer from a different type of addiction. Some of us did more, some of us did less. It depends on the drug. You understand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so that matters. But to treat everybody the same, I don't think is the most effective way. And so keep in mind that the science behind what OpiAID technology is all about is to be able to make treatment safer and more effective, and to help you, give you the best chance at long-term recovery. Now, we talked about this off the show too. Obviously you hear fentanyl is the narrative. It has been for a long time. And you hear overdose statistics that are crazy. And it's really sad that this is going on, by the way. But as sad as that is, and I'm not discounting the deaths and I'm not discounting the OD, I'm saying that I don't know about anybody else, but 10 years before I quit, I was saying I need to quit.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason that I didn't, if you just really want to break it down, is that I was more afraid of experiencing the pain associated with the withdrawal, okay, than actually living the same day over and over again and remaining exactly the same. And that's sad because my day, I didn't care if I lived or died.
Right.
Life and death was the same.
Right. Yeah.
So when people are like, oh my God, this person died. Yeah, that's sad. But imagine somebody dying every single day during their addiction. That's really what a lot of people go through. And so with the use of this technology, I'm not going to say, well, you're going to have an enjoyable recovery. I mean,
Recovery's recovery. You still got to do it.
You still have to do it.
Right.
But if you could do it now using science-backed results, okay, clinically proven results, that we're tailor-making a system that works for you. So it's able, the technology and the insights that it provides, it's able to talk to your doctor the way I never could in a follow-up visit. Right. Well, how do you feel? I don't know. Right. Well, tell me the pain. It's bad. From a feeling chart, pick a feeling that best describes your mood. I'm just like ready to flip him the middle finger.
Exactly.
Well, and you can, as someone that I just enjoy the heck out of data too, the nice thing that you can see as you're talking about too, that people may not understand, the listener, watcher, that, if they're not in recovery and doesn't understand that process, especially those early phases of recovery, sometimes you don't know if you got to crap or wind your watch, to coin a joke. So when the doctor, the clinician, and the entire staff can get some data, Mr. Miliotis, we're seeing that, we saw that you had some anxiety going on. Well, I'm going to tell you, until I really started to put effort towards getting sober, I didn't know I suffered from anxiety.
Right.
It took a long time for somebody to go,
Sure.
I think you have an anxiety disorder. Like, what? What are you talking about? That feeling where you can't breathe? It wasn't full-blown panic attacks, but I didn't know.
But you felt worse during your addiction. So for you to kind of, this is a way for you to properly translate your thoughts and feelings, especially in the early stages, like you mentioned. In the early stages, I'm not so concerned about choosing the best words to describe my feeling. I'm just usually like, I don't know,
Yeah.
And you have to keep in mind, your regular doctor, it's kind of like beat the clock because they have to see other people.
Yeah.
They'll go and they'll look at, they're basing how to treat you on your old chart, if there is one, that has some kind of history in there, and a series of questions and answers that they're going to do with you for about 5 minutes. Like, where does it hurt? Describe the pain. What are you feeling? Are you eating? How often are you sleeping? And those all seem like, oh, God, why wouldn't you know that? But you really don't know. And don't forget, there's a lot of people that, there's ego involved, so I might downplay my symptoms.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
There's other people who are pros in the game, let's face it,
Yep.
that will play up their symptoms simply because they know that the worse off they are, they might get that wonderful medication. And isn't it funny, the withdrawal medication that they're waiting for to get prescribed, they're going from one addiction to another.
Correct.
This is not life, guys. Right. And by the way, this has been the standard, the gold standard in care for the last 40 years. So, I mean, have we advanced? Yes. But now that you're hearing about AI and everything's technology, I think people are more open to the fact that, data science is the answer, and it can customize my care. And if I have something that's kind of like an on-call doctor that's walking around with me every second of every day, now I know that this information is going to the person who's going to know more about me than I can possibly explain, that's going to prescribe care for me in real time.
Why has Payne started a program to help veterans struggling with addiction issues?
I wanted to start this program because many months ago I was dealing with some veterans. I just didn't like the way they were being treated. I didn't like the services that were being provided, for the lack of a better term. I think we need to do a better job with our veterans, and in essence, that's why I decided to start this. My biggest concern with veterans and substance use, especially with opioids, is that they're not getting the proper treatment. And it seems like for years they have not received the proper treatment for that. We decided to make sure that our veterans are going to be able to get the services they need in order to combat their addiction.
As an example, if I go in and I get, a gambit of medication, as an example, and the therapy that I need based on what I looked like and what I was feeling day 1, day 2 of detox, right? I may feel different on the 3rd day. I may be recovering faster. Yet by the time this information gets to my care provider, my clinician, it might be a week. It might be, in cases, if you're outside of a recovery center, it might be, well, we'll do a follow-up in 30 days, 60 days. Guess what? If I'm taking too much for 30 days, now I feel like a zombie, which has happened to me. And I'm just like, wow, I'm sober, but I feel I'm living in a fog. You don't want to do anything. You don't want to eat. You don't want to socialize, which is really like another form of death. You're dead from the neck up.
Right.
So that's not living. That's kind of like dying too. So that's why I was so excited about this technology. I'm like, wow, this is really cool stuff. I mean, we've won every award. I mean, the company's based in North Carolina. We've won every award that there is to get. I mean, obviously, we've gotten the support from NIDA and the federal funding, and we're doing, pilots and tests and working with various clinics. But, as exciting as that was, and as excited as I was to go and let people know, hey, there's a new revolution in recovery, I was like, look, I wasn't given a second chance. I wasn't, to be clean and sober and live again and doing the stuff that I did in my past business life. I don't think I was meant to still be here today talking to you if I just squandered it and said, hey, I'm vested in a great technology. Somebody's going to buy us out. We're getting all these awards. We're doing all right. We're good.
Yeah.
I wanted to take this care and I wanted to take it to the next level and actually help thousands and thousands of people long-term recovery. I want to see people happy, healthy, living normal lives and not in this protective bubble or living in fear or relapsing and going in and out of treatment. There's just too much of that we don't talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the thing I like too is I like the fact that this technology can be used after detox and residential while they're in outpatient.
Yep.
And for as long as a treatment facility has them.
Yep.
Right. And because we all know, like you said, the longer we stay in treatment, the better.
Yep.
You know, we can get that 30 days. But again, like we talked about, you know, the insurance companies are going to dictate a lot of this on how long somebody can still stay, right, with their policy. But I would say close to 100% of insurance companies will always pay for long-term outpatient. So the longer we have them in outpatient, coupled with this technology, then I think that person has a much better chance of at least learning about their recovery and somehow getting to the end. You know, where it's I love the fact. And I'm trying to remember exactly how you put it, but I love the fact that this thing sends back to the clinician basically all your vitals, everything about you, what is going on from head to toe, so that clinician can go, oh, okay, there's a change here, there's a change there. All right, so now we're able to adjust, or we're able to get you another service that you may need, you know, for this. But here's a question that's probably going to be asked to us a lot, and that is, does this work for alcohol? Does it work for methamphetamine? Does it work for cocaine addiction?
The long answer is yes to all. In fact, you're going to find that this is going to work on some things that are associated with pain management, even getting into like Parkinson's, okay? There's ongoing research that's never going to stop, and that's a really good
thing.
It's a good thing, but it's a really good point. I don't want, I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't want to be in the research and development. I mean, we got geniuses in that staff. I want to implement
that one's
care.
not in my wheelhouse, by the way.
No, it's not. But you got to look at it this way, right? We have an iPhone, the first one done, right? And so when I had the first iPhone, I didn't say, well, you know what, this looks good, but I'm going to wait till the 16 comes out and I'll buy that. I mean, it's a progression, and the technology gets better and better and better, and it expands, and it has different features. Imagine that with this technology. So right now we're in the substance use space, right? So we're with the opioids, and we're doing the trials and testing on alcohol and stimulants, okay? Because obviously those are important as well. And then it'll expand from there, and it'll get into pain, chronic pain, et cetera, et cetera. The research will never stop. But I can't sit there and wait till we're done.
Right.
For me to help save lives when there's literally millions of people that suffer right now that this applies 100% to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, like we talked about, the narrative is, I mean, opioids, that's been an epidemic for decades. Fentanyl is just another word now that people are using,
Right.
but
They almost use it too casually.
very casually, and which is sad. And, you know, I mean, and whether it's a poison killing our population, or whether there's people that are addicted to it, or it was just, you know, the horse tranquilizers that people needed to overcome pain, or whatever their thing is, there's enough of that out there where I don't think we'll be ever short of helping people. And the technology will just get better and better. So what I had to do is I had to just come to a realization that, you know, what we have right now is so special that for us to wait for the bandwidth to grow and to get into all the other things, I don't want to wait 2 years. I mean, in 2 years, think of how many people that we can help assist in living healthy, normal lives.
Right.
So, and obviously the numbers show. I mean, the minute I announced that clinic in Las Vegas, I mean, droves came out there. Here's one of the good things you mentioned about it doesn't matter where you are in care, right? So the clinic will obviously treat people and each person gets a device, so they wear the watch while in care, and it speaks to the clinicians. After they're out, whether they go to an outpatient type of treatment, they go to a sober living, or if they're just kind of living their normal life and they need occasional reminders, they keep this watch. Now, this watch will still speak to their clinician.
Right.
Okay.
If they leave the program voluntarily, then do they still get? I mean, what's the verdict there? If somebody's, because you say they get to keep the watch, okay, but they're not affiliated with any treatment facility. How do they still have a connection with the clinician on the other end, and then that's another type of billing cycle?
Well, that's why I've been working so hard this past 7-8 months, okay? Because I wanted to create a structure that took care of all these questions. So not only is this a brick and mortar clinic that treats people right there on site, but also has affiliations. As an example, just in Nevada alone, over 13,000 networks. This includes doctors, right? And so we are educating the doctors. We're educating other clinics. We're working with other clinics that have reached out that want to use our technology. Or if they just want to come to the clinic that we have in Las Vegas, they can do that too. Then we also have referrals and recommendations. So when they leave our clinic, if they wanted a longer care program, we have a preferred list of vendors that will provide them. So the more this happens, the more people will be in the know about this technology and how it works, and we're going to interface with virtually anybody we can. Also imagine the rural populations, the places where you have to drive 100 miles just to see a doctor. This is brilliant because it could be speaking to a doctor, literally providing insights every 5 minutes, and you can do a telehealth conference and you can get the care that you need without having to drive 100, 200 miles.
Right.
I could not believe how many remote areas there were just in this country.
There's thousands.
Okay, and people live there.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing that blew my mind. I mean, right away, when I had this technology, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go to the best clinics, the care where the A-listers go and all. I mean, that's just the way I think. I'm sorry. Everybody thinks like that. So you go there and you find out people are paying this ridiculous amount of money. Not that it's a bad program. Don't get me wrong. But that, they're almost like, why do we need you? And I'm thinking, well, imagine you're a Mercedes-Benz, right? And with our technology, you're a Mercedes with an AMG engine. Oh, well, we're already an AMG. But then I started realizing that these don't represent everybody.
Right.
This is just a very, very small sliver, a small population of the people that always, when you hear recovery, you're thinking about these places. So-and-so checked into Malibu and they did that. Okay, but most people don't check into Malibu.
That's right.
Most people live in Kansas and Wyoming and Missouri and all these places, New Mexico, and they're just like, well, Doc Johnson can help you down the street. Okay, but if Doc Johnson had our ability to get our insights, guess what? Doc Johnson's just like that Malibu Recovery Center.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
Let me ask you this question. So I'm a patient, I'm a client. And
God help us.
Thank God, because I never want to go through that again. Okay, not ever. All right, I don't care how good the technology is. I don't ever go through that nonsense again. But I'm a client, and I'm wearing the technology, and everything's getting passed back to the clinician. Blah blah blah. And I decide to go use.
Okay.
Is that going to pick it up?
Yes, sir.
There we go.
So
That's what I needed
not
to know.
only would I know that you used, I would probably get insights and alert warnings way before you even did.
Okay, so let me do a real follow-up before this mind forgets real quick.
Sure.
Okay? So I'm out there. I love the fact that it goes back, right? But I take the watch off
Okay.
and I use.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't put it on for a couple, 3 days, because I know in 3 days most of it's going to be out of my system. When I put that back on, is it still going to detect small traces of that drug in my system?
Yes.
Got it.
But we would also be alerted when you took it off. Why are you taking it off?
Why are you taking it off?
And
Okay.
we would send a question. Are you charging your watch?
Right.
You know, do you want to answer? See, here's the thing also. Imagine this like almost like a lifeline, because
Right.
guys,
It is.
here's a great part. This is a phone. Okay? So you can put in your clinician in here, you could put in your friends and family. They can monitor these insights at a while. So this knows, if I took this off and said, hey, I'm going to go use, so I don't want it to think like whatever. You wear it for a while so it thinks it's on somebody. It'll know that it's not me.
Right.
If I took this off and said I went out of the country for a year and I came back and I said, oh, wow, there's my watch. I found it again, and put it back on, it would say, hi, Dino.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. So again, I mean, you know, the great thing about this year lapse since the last time I talked to you guys, I think I was using words like machine learning and what's the proper way to describe this technology. No, I'm just going to say it's AI.
Right.
And guess what? A year later, isn't it funny how many people, oh, AI, of course.
Everybody knows.
So it's better understood, which means it's more widely accepted. So here's the thing with us in recovery, right? It's not just that we recovered and we're living our best life or a better life, right? It's what are we doing with that gift?
Yeah.
You guys are helping people.
Right.
By the same token, that's what I feel I'm obligated to do.
Right.
So this is especially important for me because I went through it. I know how it feels, like you said. I wish that I had stuff like this when I was going through my recovery, because it would have made it so much better.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is just to get those training wheels off of you as soon as possible, so that you don't need anything. I don't need anxiety medication. I don't need depression pills. I don't need to have the withdrawal medications. I'm not addicted to anything except life,
Right.
Yeah.
right? And that's the whole name of the game.
Yeah, it's all about prosperity. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, and I think it's really important, you know, as you shared, that any of the thing that these tools can do to help with, you know, like the accountability piece. You know, I mean, as simple as, you know, it's connected to your phone too.
Yeah.
If you got it in your calendar that when you get out, your priority is an IOP and you're hitting a meeting a day.
Yeah.
Well, you get a nice, good reminder.
Right.
And you could even set it up, you know, having messed with some of the smartwatch stuff, you could set it up like you missed that meeting. You could set it to auto call, you know, Bob, your sponsor.
Well, that's the whole
you know,
thing.
all these
like,
things. It helps build that accountability to keep you on track.
And let's preface that, you know, this isn't for the, what do they call them out here in California? The sober curious, okay?
No.
You got to want to quit.
You got to want to quit.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is not going to quit for you,
Right.
okay? It's an aid.
Right.
And so consider it as the shiniest tool in a toolbox that should be full,
Right.
okay? But if you have all of these things, plus your support system, and you mentioned the meetings and everything like that, it's great. My big thing, my big stumbling block was articulating my true feelings to a health professional.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Right.
You know, I'm sure they've heard it all.
Because we don't know what normal feelings are.
No, we don't.
We don't have a
And we
clue.
don't know what it's like to feel.
That's
and anytime we
exactly
started
right.
to get one,
Yes.
we would go and use so
Exactly.
we could ignore it.
You know,
Right.
did you guys, when, like, you in recovery, did you guys ever cry at, like, commercials that you see? That
I
kinda,
still do.
I'm like, what's this salty discharge coming out of my eyes?
I mean, I don't know what this is.
I remember one meeting, I'm there and I'm, you know, it was like the bear all meeting, like whatever, it was that situation. And I'm so, just stoic about it. Like all the legit trauma stuff and everything else. And then this one guy shares about his dog being sick.
Oh,
like
man.
next, and that
Niagara
one it was like,
Falls.
no! You know?
Right?
Yeah.
But so you get all these gushes of feelings that are coming out, right? Or the feelings like I don't want to be around people, and this phobia of being outside and everything, or this uncomfortable feeling. So these are feelings that you haven't felt. Like for me, I haven't felt them for 25 years.
Right.
25 years. Okay, and isn't it funny when somebody like quits for a month? They're like, "Well, I'm not getting any better, dude. It took you 25 years to get used to this.
Absolutely,
it's going to take some time to feel normal again." And
You know what we need? We need a damn watch for parents. Okay, we need
Well,
because I'm telling you, the parents they think, just the majority of them do. They think like, oh, well, once my kid gets out of treatment, everything's going to be fine again.
Well, but isn't it funny that again?
We need a watch that zaps the parent the minute they start to think that way.
Should, but again, in their defense, they look. It's hard enough what we went through, right?
Yeah.
But it's equally hard for the parents that probably have lost money, sleep. All kinds, reputation, possessions,
Right.
all of the above, trust,
Right.
and you just mentally, you just kind of want to make it go away. So hey, you're good now, right? It's the unrealistic hope that you're going to get better so quickly, so that we could just kind of sweep it under the rug and just keep going on. But unfortunately, I mean, people are more patient when you get a broken arm. They're just like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that for 6 weeks. Right. That's okay for them to think. But for this, they're just like, hey, you're fine now, right? Come on, we can start living again. We could do the things we used to do. Sometimes you got to rechange everything in your life.
Yes, you do.
You got to rethink everything. So again, I mean, look, professional athletes have had access to the most outrageous high-end care that we don't even know about. Right. I mean, just now they're just exposing us to stuff like that. So isn't it funny how this kind of treats you like almost like the professional athlete?
Right.
It's not going on the averages that, well, statistics show that you should be this way in your recovery and you should feel like this. I might feel worse or better along the way. And with somebody that has that real-time access to how I'm feeling, that can adjust my program as we go along, I can recover better, faster, stronger.
And it doesn't mean that they're just changing your medication.
No.
Okay, it's called a program.
Correct.
There's lots of different areas of a program that come into play here. So
That's
I don't
right.
want people to think that this is just a medication issue.
It's not just a medication issue. And as you know, I mean, it's medication, it's counseling, it's the therapy, it's all of the above. But as an example, I mean, it's hard for some people to even articulate if they had a good night's sleep.
Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Okay, because
you're not used to a good night's sleep. So how do you know what one is?
What's a good night's sleep?
What's a good night's sleep? Is it
Correct.
2 hours or is it 6 hours?
And was it choppy or was it not? And
When's the last time you may have had REM?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Okay, so even the people when you're in detox and they come visit you every 15 minutes with a flashlight, which is not welcome, by the way, because it's like, dude, why are you waking me up?
We all went through that one. Okay, get that fucking light out of my eye.
Why are you waking me up?
Right.
Oh, I just wanted to see if you're okay.
Right.
But you know what? I mean, aside from the blood pressure and everything like that, they don't know your REM sleep. They don't know how many times you were tossing and turning. They don't know your anxiety level during the evening or whatever.
Right.
If this reads all of that for you and you get all these insights, all of a sudden you get this like full picture of somebody 24/7. And, data doesn't lie. It's just translated. And what we're doing is we're not saying we're replacing a doctor. What we're saying is we're going to make a doctor's life so much easier.
Right.
So let's just say your story is representative of an encyclopedia collection that's this entire wall, right? And I'm the doctor, and to really, really know you and treat you fully, I would have to familiarize myself with all of this in the library. What if, based on what you're coming to see me for this particular visit, what if through our technology I'm able to take that entire library and translate it into one paragraph that's put right in front of my face? The doctor would be like, oh my God, you just saved me so much time.
Right. Because, by the way, doctors, this is what you said earlier, and I know this for a fact, most doctors have between, and they're almost, I mean, this is almost specific, 5 to 7 minutes of time to spend with a patient.
It's like beat the clock.
Beat the clock. That's exactly what it is.
And then they have to take breaks, and they're expected to see, what, 20, 30 patients a day? And I'm not, look, it's a business. We know that. Yeah. And there should be compassion and care involved. But again, I mean, you know, if you spend most of that time trying to prod answers out of you and trying for me to determine, almost like a lie detector, is he truthful? Is he not? You know, this answer was kind of squirrely. The first thing as a licensed professional for me is this guy looking for medication?
Correct.
And I would bog down. In fact, I would probably be hesitant to prescribe anything for you if you looked squirrely. But what if that's just the way you were?
Right. Right.
You know.
Let me ask you this: Does this thing send back your liver panels? Does it send back anything that has to do with vitamin D or B12, anything like that you're low on?
No, but what it's going to do is it's going to work with the regular, like, so if you're in a detox center, you're in a 30-day program. Obviously, you take the urine test and you take certain type of tests. One of the things, and I'll explain this Smart AI clinic. Okay, one of the things that I also recognized is that the electronic health records of each recovery center or doctor's office, no two EHRs are the same, I found. There's some that don't exist, believe it or not.
Right.
There's some that are the equivalent of writing notes down on a cocktail napkin, for crying out loud. Some people still use fax machines.
I know
okay?
You said that. It was like,
and I know. And I was like, are you kidding me? What are we? Is this 2025? Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
it is, yeah.
And some EHR systems are better than others, right? And I wanted an electronic health records system that paired up perfectly with the technology, okay? Because again, the technology works by taking your biometrics, taking the information from even the most basic electronic health records, which is really a record of you, your medical history.
Right.
Even if temporary at sign-in, it's still technically a medical history. Combines that with the AI to provide the latest and greatest real-time insights on care for you, okay? Right. So that electronic health record component was very important. So Smart AI Clinic has its own electronic health records system. It was built from the ground up to pair perfectly with the technology. So it's intuitive, which means with the most basic things that you provide, it's able to take that and, again, AI-generated work. So you're talking about a very consistent playing field now.
Right.
So to answer your question, a lot of the tests that are done in detox or the 30-day programs or even at a regular physician's office, those are recorded in the electronic health records. Right. And it'll take that information and, again, apply AI. So not direct, to answer your question, no, not directly, but indirectly through the electronic health records, yes.
Good, because that's important.
Yeah.
Well, all in all, you know, the simplest way for me to summarize is it's definitely a greater way to have a more effective continuum of care.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about over and over how important that is. And that is the hard thing to get through sometimes to loved ones is the care has not ended. We know as those with long-term recovery, it's a lifelong process.
It is a lifelong process.
You know, worries and things and struggles, they don't go away. Yep.
But life happens, right? I mean, you know, who would think like when you get out of a treatment program and you're like in your first few months of recovery, you know, I was thinking, oh my God, you know, I know a lot of people in my family, they're elderly, they're getting up there in years. How am I going to handle death?
Yeah.
How am I going to handle an accident? How am I going to handle loss of a job or some traumatic experience that happens?
Loss of a relationship.
Or
financial loss. Or
it could be devastating.
And
guess what? It could be all of the above. Right. It'll never be, I mean, law of averages, it's never none of the above. But you got to be able to not just handle your own sanity and your own daily routine, but you're going to have to incorporate the facts of life, which is stuff happens.
Right.
And bad stuff happens.
And I'll tell you what, man, that is what I try to explain to families and even the addict. If you follow what I'm saying, you're going to get through this. If you don't, you have a 10% chance of making it.
And you're being very generous.
I know. Because the first, and I always give it a year to 4 years. That's the toughest part of the entire, at least to me, that was the toughest part of my recovery, was that 1 to 4 year mark.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it got better in year 2, and it got better in year 3, and it got better in year 4. But still, because, I mean, think about it. 23 years using, 4 years of recovery. Come on. It doesn't take a genius to figure out you need more than 4 years.
Right. And what are the first things that people go when they get clean, right? They go back into their social circles.
They do, or school, or whatever. I mean, I'm dealing with a kid right now who had 15 months of sobriety, all right? Goes back to school against everybody's advice, went back to using within 4 days,
Yep.
and been on the streets ever since.
Yep. And that's the whole thing. So how do you tackle the aspects of longer term recovery when you're talking about the year, 4 years, 5 years, 20 years? And we talked about the unexpected, unfortunate circumstances that will happen in your life. And you think you can handle it, right? Hey, I've been clean for 10 years, nothing. But all it takes is that one bad moment, and let me add, weak moment, and all of a sudden you can find that you're you're back to the drawing board. So this would let you know. This would let you, the wearer, know by a vibration in the beginning, because it will detect changes. You know, have you heard when people say when you relapse, you've already accepted it in your mind that you're going to relapse before you actually do?
Right.
Well, this will pick up on the changes in your body temperature, the changes in your pressure, and your movements and so forth, and it'll alert you that something bad's going to happen. It's going to say, do you want to call a friend? Do you want to call a family? Do you want to call 911? How are you? Where are you? Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, this has a very accurate GPS if you wanted it turned on.
Right.
So for all those reasons, I would be the guy that would be wearing kind of like my life alert.
Right.
And I'm not pushing the company, but
I get it.
It's a nice way to explain it, for the rest of my life.
Right.
If I was that person that's just like, you know what, I could fluctuate at any moment, or, you know, there could be a stressful situation, doesn't it feel better to have this little kind of virtual doctor on your wrist?
So that, again, my mind goes in all kinds of weird places.
We know.
Okay. So let's talk about the meth addict.
Yes.
For a second. Because we all know, again, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, I'm dealing with a young man right now, that, meth is the most evil drug, in my opinion, that's ever been concocted. And most meth addicts, they reach a point, and again, I don't know what that point is. It could be a year into their using, it could be 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But to where it's they're not coming back. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're dying, all right? They're just not coming back from their addiction because their brains have been so affected by that drug.
Yeah.
Okay? That if somebody were to come in and wear this, and they're a meth addict, I mean, my question to you would be, how in the world is anybody going to work with that person? Because we're talking about a whole different animal, not the person. I'm talking about the drug. We're talking about a whole different animal of a drug that is just evil from beginning to end, and how it affects that human being. I guess just again where my mind's going right now, if a meth addict were on the program and using the watch, I mean, and if they sold it, because at some point they probably would, does that thing shut down? Does it?
Yeah, all these things that you're saying are unfortunately true, right? And there have been cases where people are like, hey, you want to buy? I mean, this is a $350 watch,
right.
Okay? I don't know what it goes for on the street for a meth addict, but
Right.
you know they've tried to sell anything.
$25 I'll probably sell.
Yeah, anything that could be sold.
Right.
But one of the safeguards is obviously the very encrypted technology and the ability to just shut it down and
Got it.
just kill all that information immediately. But more importantly, to answer your question on, what do you do to help that person? I mean, obviously everybody who's alive, where there's hope, there's care to be provided.
Sure.
And we're not saying we're replacing the care.
I know
Again, we're making the care that's available better.
Better, easier, more accessible.
By
all of it.
enhancing it and making it faster and more effective and more personalized than ever before.
Right.
And, you'll find this. You'll find that, you'll see some of these things on the news now where they're talking about, an AI, it's going to be able to, cure cancer and prevent this and prevent that. And people are clapping and high-fiving, as they should, because there's, groundbreaking stuff being done. But what they aren't really understanding is it takes years to get it from concept to reality.
Sure.
So now go back and appreciate where we are with this technology and the smart AI clinics. It's taken years to take it from the concept to the trials to proving this clinically, and all the subjects that have undergone this treatment. Now we're able to put it into commercial use and actually watch the magic happen, right? So is this 100%? I mean, is it going to take somebody and make them like the most polished, clean person in the world? No, but it's going to enhance their care. At the very least, they're going to have a more pleasant experience with it. It's all about suffering. It's about reducing the withdrawal, reducing the stigma associated with quitting and the cravings and the thoughts and the demons that everybody goes through. And at minimum, if it's able to speak intelligently to your care professional so that they can get better insights on who you are and what you're really feeling instead of just guesswork and poking and prodding. And I'm not knocking any doctor, but to me, the current system was like, when I went through it, it felt like, take 2 pills, call me in the morning, and, try these horse pills. And it sounds like you got a lot of problems. You got anxiety, you got depression, you got withdrawal. Here's this drug, and this drug, and let's check back in 60 days. Dude, a lot of stuff can happen in 60 days, and it's not good.
Let me tell you something, and you bring up such a great point here, because I did some writing on this about 7 or 8 years ago, and I blasted it out there everywhere. And of course the name is right on the tip of my tongue. I lost it again. But there was a clinic that, and it was like an Irish name. Anyway, there was a clinic that this guy founded like in 1964.
Oh God.
Okay.
Does it have shock therapy too?
No, not that I found. But here's how I can explain it. God, it's almost there. The name's almost there.
O'Malley, all right.
O'Shea.
Right? But what it was a kind of treatment of what we do today. Meaning, nothing has truly changed since 1964. He had a 32-day program instead of a 28-day program. All right. I know. He had this magic potion. Remember that a few years ago with treatment centers? Hey, we can cure your addiction.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've got the stuff to cure your addiction. He actually was injecting people with some concoction that had liquid gold in it, and he actually killed a few people along the way. All right. This is true. Keeley, the Keeley Institutes. There they are. Google it.
Wow.
Okay, and so the point here is that, and they were still around, if memory serves, I want to say until late 80s, early 90s. But again, the point is that it's no different than what it almost is today. There are some of us that are doing things better and and different, and a lot of treatment centers are. But it's that same basic concept. You're going to be there for 32 days.
Right.
We've got the plan. We're going to fix you, and now you can move on.
And that's
all bull.
And that's the gold standard that I was talking about. And if that's the gold standard, dude, we have to raise the bar.
We have to raise the bar.
And so now imagine what I'm saying and what exists right now and the clinic that's going to open, and compare that to what you just described with the gold injections and stuff.
Right.
But also keep in mind, here's the thing as a society that we have to understand. We as a society want everything like a quick fix.
Like now.
Mm-hmm. We want it now, and we don't want it to
that
hurt
hasn't
us.
changed, by the way.
That hasn't changed. And so, look, I mean, but you have to incorporate logic, right? So the same way that I'm committed to my recovery is the same way somebody's committed to lifting weights in the gym.
Yes.
And they will be the first to tell you that you're not going to be muscle bound by working out 10 days or even 30 days in the gym. It takes time, it takes repetition, it takes commitment, it takes pain.
Right. Here we
okay?
are. Yeah, takes pain.
It takes pain.
Yeah.
Why do people think that in recovery it should be different?
I have a simple saying. I say we put this poison in our body. No matter what we give you to try to get you off of it, that poison has to come out.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt a little bit.
It's going to hurt a little bit.
It is. It just is. There's no magic anything to this. Even with the medications that we use today that make it easier for somebody to go through withdrawal symptoms, we still have to stop that medication at a 10-day to 2-week period. So yeah, you're going to go through a little bit of withdrawals at the end here. It's not going to be full on. It's not even going to be a quarter full on. All right, but you're going to be a little uncomfortable for a few days.
But you have to feel.
But you got to feel.
But a lot of times it's funny that the withdrawal part that we experience, it's masked or overshadowed
Of course it
by
is.
the anxiety or the depression.
I knew you were going there.
Yeah, and so instead of touching on things other than the withdrawal, they're just, it's still withdrawal. That's a big mistake.
It is.
Okay, and that's part of the one-size-fits-all that I was talking about, right? If you can distinguish anxiety and depression and withdrawal, if you can separate them and you know what each is, okay, now you can treat people a little bit better. And you could find that, counseling obviously could take care of anxiety. Counseling can also take care of depression, okay, which are symptoms associated. I mean, why did we start using in the first place? Oh, I had a great life. Everything was fine. I was just experimenting. Really? Is that what it was? Just a good time? Or was there some underlying issue? And then what kept you doing it? And then making you from this party animal into, somebody who's kind of a hermit in isolation. Mm-hmm. Towards the end, I don't remember partying with anybody. I just I never wanted to be seen.
Right.
I was embarrassed.
Right.
Everything was dark. All the shades were always drawn, and I was just like a hermit. I was a prisoner in my own cage.
Right. Mm-hmm. Here's something too, and this is where I would implore you to check this out with the clinicians that you're going to be using, and maybe you already have. When somebody gets to outpatient, a lot of times that person will go outside of the outpatient program to go to another psychiatrist. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm using psychiatrists for a specific purpose because these men and women psychiatrists, and I don't give a damn how many letters I get. All right, the majority of these people are so prone to continue to write for a benzo, for depression and for anxiety and everything other ailment that they can think of. They're seeing their clients for 15 minutes. They're writing them a script. They're getting them out of their office. This is a fact. This isn't Flindt making up stuff. It's none of that. And we know that if you're depressed and a psychiatrist is writing a script for Xanax or Valium or Klonopin, those are depressive drugs. Mm-hmm. How is that supposed to help with depression?
Well, you touched on a subject. I'm not going to go as far as you because I don't want the hate mail. But But I will tell you that one of my frustrations coming out and hitting the real world, and I was assigned, it was during COVID, so I mean everything was telehealth.
Yeah.
But I mean I would have these monthly sessions with my doctor, who was a psychiatrist. I wasn't even allowed to say how I felt. It was just like, is this enough? But to scratch the surface into my deep feelings and my thoughts and my demons and, at nighttime, this is how I have these cold tremors and these fears and about this. I mean, we'd never talk about anything. It was just up the medication,
right.
upping the dose,
Right.
upping the dose, upping the dose, to the point where I told you this story last year. I threw all my medication out. And I was just like, I'm going to use again because I'm already dead from the neck up. And I had a lot more fun, to be honest with you. You just
Right.
take it, right?
Right.
But I can't take these because you would just sit in a room,
Yep.
quiet. You didn't want to shower. You
didn't want to do anything.
Didn't want to socialize. You didn't want to watch TV. I would stare at a blank screen.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I doing? It's been 4 hours. I'm staring at the screen and it's not even on. I mean, it's a horrible way. Look, I can't comment as much about who's doing this and that. The only thing I can say is proudly that the clinic and all that goes in it, our goal is to provide the top flight premier care in the world.
Yep.
With the top technology that exists in the world, and every other clinician or detox center or recovery center that comes on board will be carefully vetted to make sure that we are all in a line with the same vision
Good.
and goal
Good.
to do the same thing. So by comparison, it will be like night and day.
Yeah.
Okay? And I can't say anything for the people that are doing it the way they're doing it. I'm not going to knock them.
Right.
All I can say is that our level of care is going to be,
Head and shoulders.
here's how you'll be able to ultimately tell the difference. The recovery rates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
The recovery rates.
that's it.
Which is, this is the first time I've ever talked about that, but my goal is like a year after this clinic opens, match our recovery rates with anybody on the planet,
Right.
and then we'll tell you something.
Right. And if I may make a suggestion,
Sure.
when you're talking about recovery rates, because I get asked that all the time,
Mhm.
what's your recovery rate, right? And I never like to really go down that road of recovery rates because how do you monitor somebody for 20 years,
Yeah.
right? So all I can do is monitor our clients that we've had in a 2-year time period.
Correct. Right.
That's it.
Right.
So if they're with us for 2 years, now I can honestly say we're at about 41%,
Which is
not bad.
It's not bad.
Okay, it's not bad.
It's
right?
better than the national average.
Correct. Now, but if I go now, I've lost contact with that person also after 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They could have relapsed 6 months later. But then we have this. Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm all in. Okay, I mean it's
really cool, man.
It
I mean,
is. It's really cool, and it's about time that you have come up with something here that's going to change. Because I've been saying it for years. If we don't change the recovery system here, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Because right now we're already screwed.
And you can't reward. I'm sorry, but you can't. I, in good conscience, cannot reward somebody who's got like a 12% recovery rate and somebody who's got a 41, and I'm going to treat you guys the same and I'm going to fund you guys the same. I would rather fund you because you're obviously doing better than this, and this person needs to up their game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it gets so confusing and so bureaucratic, and there's so many choices. And to compound to that, you go on the internet or you go on Instagram or whatever, and everybody's got the magic cure.
Everybody.
Oh, you could do this. Oh, look at our clinic. Oh, this recovery center is the best one in the world. And you don't know what's right and what's wrong. You don't know what's real and what's not.
Right.
Right? But they're all following a practice, this gold standard for the last 40, 50 years. I'm like, what's changed?
The only thing they've changed is they've added horses and oceans.
Horses and no, it's true. It's not cheap. The one I went to was a 30-day stint. It was up in Lake Arrowhead, and at the time it was like $27,000 for 30 days.
Yeah.
And I can't tell. I mean, seriously, I just wanted to get out because they're like, you can go to sober living after this. I'm like, well, what's sober living? Well, you kind of stay at this place. You could check in, you check out. You got freedom to go work or do whatever, but you get tested a couple times a week or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't sound like something that I should be paying $30,000 for. You know what I mean? Some people do it. Yeah. It's good. But for me, I just wanted to get out of that protective bubble, and I wanted to get back into the real world, because even then I knew that the real world it was waiting for me, and it was full of chaos and unpredictability and pain, but beautiful moments, just the way I choose to, and prefer my life. I can't live in a cocoon. I can't sit there and say, well, I got to pass that bar. I can't go in that bar. I can't hang out with you because you drink, or none of that should affect me. Okay? But I have strong will, and I was committed, and I said, this is the first and last time you guys are going to see me in this recovery center. I meant it. If I'm just kicking the tires and I'm a looky-loo and whatever, our technology, no technology, nothing is going to help you.
Right.
Yeah. But you got to want it.
You got to want it. Absolutely.
With that ability to empower the staff to be helpful, especially after that leave of the 28 days. Hopefully the individual can get 28 days.
Yeah.
The good part is if they were there to get the heat off, which is common.
Right. Right.
You got to get the heat off me, be it family or law or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
That monitoring of it being there can hopefully help someone eventually get that shift to the point of, wow, this is a better way.
Yeah.
And there are, but these people are still looking after me.
Yeah.
There is something going on.
Yeah.
People care. What the hell is that?
Right. And you don't have to start it all over again. Years down the road, if you go in, it already has your ongoing history, right? Don't forget the electronic health records that go along with this are intuitive. There's AI. So it's kind of like, 5 years from now, I can go to a strange clinic, and it's just like, boom, they're going to get everything that they need, and again, real-time insights. So
is
it's
this
really
a 24-hour deal where?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 24-hour deal.
Right, good.
So every 5 minutes, all the biometrics from me gets transferred to the database, the largest one in the world.
Right.
And then that database applies AI and sends it back in real time. So that 6th minute sends it back to the clinician that's using it.
Yeah, because this is my point, because we've done it. There's nothing worse for an addict, when you want help.
Yes.
That you have to get a voicemail.
Correct.
And especially from 5:01 p.m. till 7:59 a.m.
So nothing's changed. We're impatient and demanding when we wanted our fix. And when somebody wants to quit, take them seriously.
Take them serious.
Because you know what? That happened to me. Somebody reached out for help. They're going through some hardships. Former fentanyl dealer who's still dealing fentanyl not because they want to, but because they can make a little margin, because guess what? For extra fun, he got addicted to his own stuff.
Right.
And he said, Dino, I'm going down fast, and this stuff is no joke. He wasn't stupid about it. Obviously, being a dealer, he knows about this. By the time I went out there to try and figure out care for him, his phone was disconnected. His family had sent him away. He could have been homeless. I hope he wasn't dead. There's no way of knowing. But I drove 4 hours. I waited for him 2 hours. Didn't show up, drove 4 hours back, and every single day since then, I try that number, it's still disconnected. That's my only link. That's the only way I could find this person. Right. That is my aha moment where I was like, okay, I got to make this commercialized care. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, we got to find a special clinic. This should be everywhere.
Yeah.
This should be everywhere. And had it been everywhere when I was talking to this person, all I had to do was just overnight him a watch and link him up with one of our networks, and boom, he'd be able to start getting the care that he needs. And I'm sure it wouldn't be pretty in the beginning because he was pretty bad off. Right. But imagine over time, because he was committed. He was just like, help me. His mom kicked him out. Which, there's probably a story there too.
I'm sure there is.
But it happens a lot, man.
It does.
And being homeless and being addicted is just, it's no joke.
It's no joke. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
People want to find out more about the clinic. What's the easiest way?
smartaiclinics.com. And it's got all the information you need to contact our clinic, or if you want to help, or if you have questions about powering up a clinic of your own. All of the above, any of the above, we're there. But this is the new era, baby, and I'm so excited. And in the heart of Vegas.
Right,
of all things,
places.
of all places, but you know what?
It.
With a very serious problem, as in other places. But you know, what a place to be! Easily accessible. Okay, I mean everybody knows where Vegas is, but you know it really is a nice outfit, and I'm proud to be part of the ride, and look to us to expand really fast.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dino.
Thank you, guys.
It's always great seeing you.
It was great seeing you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And of course, the links are in the podcast description. If you want to contact Dino, we'll throw your Instagram in there too. I know people reach out to you from time to time. Thank you for either watching or listening to Pains Don't Hide the Scars podcast, or watching on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@PainNonprofit.